The greatest act of service to the universe is to work on one's own frequency and raising one's own frequency. Because wherever you go, you contribute to the rising of frequency. The room you walk into elevates in frequency, steps up in frequency. When you walk into the room, you must learn what it is to live from the heart for yourself before you can guide others to live in the heart. If you want to know what your soul is meant to do here, you don't need to go thinking about it. You don't need to go wandering around searching for your purpose. Just get into the heart, embody heart-based consciousness, become a fourth density being. The more of us who enter the heart and become the fourth density being, the more we'll see these communities being created, new technologies, free energy technologies that are going to change the world overnight. These things will start happening before our eyes. A number of months ago, I did a lesson on the 4 stages of the transition from ego to heart-based consciousness. This is what we're all about here in 4DU, right? This is our purpose, to teach and facilitate this transition from 3rd to 4th density consciousness. And so I want to give you an analogy for what the 3rd density is, kind of a picture, a metaphor for what our soul comes into when we incarnate into a 3rd density planet. And I think this metaphor or analogy will give you a better idea of these 4 stages of the transition from ego consciousness to heart-based consciousness. So we know that the 3rd density is the density of the choice or the choosing. And so this is the density all throughout the universe on every 3rd density planet where souls are incarnating to make the choice between the 2 polarities. Which polarity does my soul want to experience and refine for the next, billions of years of my soul's journey through the universe? And so I want you to picture the 3rd density as a great ocean where, millions, billions of people are treading water and kind of flailing and floundering in this ocean. And on one side of this ocean, there's a great green heart-shaped ship or station or boat, however you want to picture it. And it's shining bright, radiating, and it's drawing light to people to see, kind of like a lighthouse of, hey, come over here if you want to step onto land and get out of this ocean and stop treading water. If you're tired, if you're weary, come this way, come towards the light. But then on the other side of the ocean, you could sort of picture, like Lord of the Rings, an ominous, looming dark clouds, billowing dark clouds over top of a giant black pentagram-shaped boat or, ship vessel in the ocean. And that's on the other side. And this is the picture of 3rd density, is billions of people kind of drowning, crying out for help in this great ocean of ego consciousness. And there's these 2 vessels available, and only these 2. And so many people begin to see this choice that's available, right? And so people start deciding which vessel they want to swim towards for their safety. And so on this side of the ocean, there's the giant black vessel, the pentagram vessel, which represents the negative polarity, of course. And there's dark beings on this ship that are calling out to those who are drowning, saying, if you drown 10 people, I will rescue you and bring you aboard my ship and give you great power. And so some people listen to this call and they like the way it sounds. And so they start to push other people down while they're drowning so that they can keep their head above water. And in the process, they drown other people. Yeah. And after 10 people are drowned, then a giant kind of lasso of ropes is thrown to them and encapsulates them and pulls them into the pentagram vessel, the pentagram ship. And then they climb aboard and they don't have to tread water anymore. But now they're a slave on the ship. So this represents negative graduation. On the other side, we have the green ray heart-shaped vessel, which is calling out to anyone who wants help to be of service. And the prerequisite to getting on this ship is that you have to ask for help. Why? Because the positive polarity isn't just going to go save people without them asking for it. The positive polarity honors the free will of all beings, right? So the heart-shaped ship, the green ray ship, is waiting for people to cry out for help. And now, in this great ocean where people are drowning and trying to keep their head above water as they're treading water, a lot of people are trying to stay above water through their own efforts, right? They think that they can just save themselves somehow. So they haven't really tired themselves out yet. So the vast majority of people in this ocean are not swimming to either the dark or the light ship, right? They're just treading water thinking, I got this, I can do this. And many of them are failing in their own efforts, and eventually they're getting so tired of treading water that they start to drown. And then they drown and sink to the bottom of the ocean. But then they appear in the skies in a new body and are dropped back in the ocean again. And so as you're treading water, you can imagine this scene, right? Of people drowning, bodies appearing, falling into the ocean, some people swimming towards the dark vessel, some people swimming towards the light vessel. And you're like, okay, I think I see what's going on here. If I don't make a choice, I'm going to drown and come back again, right? So I might as well make the choice. So which vessel do I choose? And if you look at the dark pentagram-shaped vessel with the ominous clouds above it, and the dark beings calling out to you saying, come over here, I'll help you. All you must do is drown 10 people and I'll save you. You know, the people that are in a fear state, like the way that sounds, no problem, I just want to stop drowning, so I'll happily drown 10 other people. So you're dunking people under the water and you're seeing people drowning. So you're like, I don't want to go towards that ship. That looks pretty dark. I like the look of that green ray ship that's shining bright and luminous, shaped like a heart. So you start swimming towards it. And as you swim towards it, you notice that the light beings on the ship have these life rafts, life preservers, ready to throw to anybody. But they're only throwing them to the people who ask for help. And so you realize this and you say, over here, help, help, I'm ready to climb aboard. And then one of the light beings takes notice of you and says, here you go, my brother or sister, throws you a life preserver. So you grab onto it and then you're pulled onto the ship. As you get pulled onto the ship, you're exhausted, you're wearied, you've been swimming in the ocean of ego consciousness for lifetimes. And so you're not ready to help others yet, are you? You need to gain your sea legs first. You need to gain your bearings first. You need to catch your breath first. And as you get onto the ship and you just collapse onto the floor, and these beings of light come to you and they start taking care of you and giving you water and saying, it's okay, my brother, you're safe, we've got you, welcome to the light. That's what it is when we choose the positive polarity, when we graduate to fourth density positive. And so in this process, from going from drowning in the ocean of 3D consciousness to climbing aboard the fourth density vessel of heart-based consciousness, and then becoming an agent of service, there's 4 primary stages here that I just laid out. So I want to walk you through these stages of this analogy so that you can understand how you yourself are to make this transition from the solar plexus chakra to the heart chakra. There's 4 main stages, we can say, that you must move through. And so the first stage, obviously, is when you're stuck in the ego, when you're treading water and trying to keep your head above water. And for a while, you think you can do this of your own merits, but eventually you start to get really tired, which represents suffering, yeah? And the more you suffer from ego consciousness, the more willing you become to call out for help. When you still had lots of energy and you're swimming, you're too proud to ask for help. I don't need help. I don't need a life preserver. Life preservers are for the weak. I'm going to swim and make my own place out here. I'll be fine. That's the pride of ego. That's the pride of people moving through life, self-centered, thinking that they can gain enough pleasure from the world to live a happy, fulfilling life. And in this pursuit of worldly pleasure and outcome happiness, you suffer and suffer and suffer, you're let down again and again, and eventually you're like, okay, I need some help. That's the first stage, right? Flailing in the water, crying for help. You have to call out to God for help before God will save you. Why? Because God will never violate your free will. God's like, hey, you want to be a big fat ego walking through an egoic world looking for egoic pleasure? No problem. You have the free will to do that. You can do that for as many lifetimes as you want, my child. And so the universe will let you do that, right? The universe must hear your cry for help before the transition from ego to heart can begin, because the universe will never violate your free will. So the first stage is when you realize you're a predicament. I'm drowning in the ocean of ego consciousness with everybody else. I don't like it. I don't want the negative polarity, so I must call to the light for help. That's stage number 1. Recognizing there is a problem and doing something about the problem, asking for help. The second stage is when you're thrown that life preserver by the universe and you grab onto it and you begin to get pulled to safety. While you're getting pulled to safety, shivering, trembling with weakness, holding onto that life preserver, just hanging on for dear life. Please save me, God. Please save me, universe. I can't do this anymore. That's the second phase. Once you genuinely cry out for help, the universe will always send you the teachers and the teachings that you need to begin saving yourself from your own bondage. And this is in fact the whole reason that any of you are here today, right? The universe guided you here in response to your cry for help. God drew you here to this community, to these teachings in response to your asking. That's the second stage, right? As Jesus said, ask and you will receive. Matthew 7:7. So you're given the teachings, the community, the people, the influences, the helpers, the help that you need. And you begin responding to that help. You take hold of it and you know that it's your salvation. You trust in it. And so you're getting pulled to safety. That's the second phase of ego to heart. The third phase is when you climb aboard the vessel. Yeah? When you step into the heart and you start to learn how to gain stability there. And now on the journey of spiritual awakening, this is by far the longest of the 3 stages. Because the first stage where you recognize there's a problem, usually that's only a short period of time. When you finally come to terms with the fact that I've been living like a big fat selfish ego, it doesn't work, it will never work, I need help. That's pretty much an immediate decision, right? Immediate recognition. The second is the asking for help and the finding of those people, influences, teachings that you resonate with and taking hold of them. And you start passionately, obsessively studying spirituality, whatever modality is drawn to you, right? The third phase is when you begin to climb aboard. Yeah, when you begin to enter the heart and you learn how to gain your sea legs in the heart, right? Your stability to recover from the hypothermia, the weakness, the out of breathness that you have from struggling in third density consciousness for so long. That's usually the longest phase of the transition because it takes time to enter into this new way of being, this new state of consciousness, and to adequately understand it before you can then begin teaching it to others. And so here's why the third phase tends to be the longest phase, because it comes with a great pitfall. The greatest pitfall is being in too much of a rush to help others before you've sufficiently helped yourself. And this is, you almost might say this is a good mistake to make if you're going to make one, which you are. It's good to want to help others. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's very noble and righteous to want to help others. But if you try to help others before you're truly ready to, it will become a detriment to yourself and potentially with others as well. And so here's what you need to always remember is that the universe doesn't need me to save other people, right? The universe isn't like, hurry up, man, these people are suffering and you're the only hope. That's the ego thinking that. That's a prideful belief that I have to be the savior of the world. No, you don't. There's plenty of other teachers and helpers out there who are already helping and teaching. And so the most service you can provide to the world is to fully and completely heal yourself and to completely enter heart-based consciousness for yourself first, to gain stability there, to get grounded there, to understand it, and then through your own experience of it, you will naturally become a teacher of it. You will naturally become a guide into the heart, right? You must learn what it is to live from the heart for yourself before you can guide others to live in the heart. That's obvious, right? It's the oxygen mask analogy. If you go around trying to help other people put on their oxygen masks before you have, you're gonna pass out before you realize it. You're gonna grow weary, right? If you try to help others while you're still suffering, your service will become a burden to you. It will weigh you down. It will become a stress point for you. And a lot of people are too quick to jump into some kind of ministry or service when they themselves are still suffering and working through big distortions and blockages. And so this is very much a fifth density wisdom type of understanding, but the fifth density being understands this on a very deep level, that the greatest act of service to the universe is to work on one's own frequency and raising one's own frequency. Because wherever you go, you contribute to the rising of frequency. The room you walk into elevates in frequency, steps up in frequency when you walk into the room. You don't even need to go around proselytizing and preaching to people because your energy is doing it already. And when your energy does it, you better believe people will ask you to preach to them. Please help me, give me advice. How do you have so much peace? Why are you so loving and happy all the time? How can I become like that? And so then you'll have the opportunity to teach them. But I want to say it's Saint Francis of Assisi said, "Preach the gospel always. Use words when necessary." Preach always, use words when necessary. That's the path of the heart. The heart has to be a living demonstration through you that you embody of what love looks like. Your words really do no good to anybody if you aren't first demonstrating those words, if you're not embodying them to such an extent that your words have power and authority, because people can feel that you're speaking from direct experience, right? People always know when you're speaking inauthentically, when you're speaking from head knowledge or book knowledge that you haven't integrated. And as we teach here, the spiritual ego will absolutely use every spiritual concept you've learned but have not integrated. It will use it and weaponize it against you to torment you, to make you feel that you don't measure up, that you're always inadequate, that it's too far reaching, you'll never really make it to that level of consciousness, that's too advanced for you. You know, it'll gaslight you in these ways, using your own concepts against you. So in the third phase, we should be very, very interested in embodiment, not preaching, teaching, and serving yet. Now, of course, you always want to be of service in every moment, every situation you walk into. But when I'm talking about service, I'm really talking about your dharma, right? Your life's path, your gifting, your talents, your abilities that your soul came here to embody and to give to the world. That dharma needs to wait for embodiment to take place first. There is no dharma without embodiment, without heart-based consciousness. The heart is where your giftings find actualization. If you want to know what your soul is meant to do here, you don't need to go thinking about it. You don't need to go wandering around searching for your purpose. Just get into the heart, embody heart-based consciousness, become a fourth density being, and I promise you, your purpose will flow through you before you even can snap your fingers or blink your eyes. The heart is your point of contact with your soul's dharma. And so the problem is people are wandering around saying, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? I just want to find my purpose. And it's like, before you get into the heart, your only purpose is to get into the heart, right? Before you've graduated from third density, your only purpose is the choice. When you're floundering in the water, drowning, your only purpose is to get on board that vessel. Can you see that? It doesn't make any sense to be drowning yourself and saying, how can I start saving others from drowning? Like, yo, bro, you're about to drown. That's the last thing you should be caring about right now. Get onto the ship, ask for help, get a life preserver. put yourself in a position where you can actually be of service. So that's phase 3, is grounding yourself in the heart, gaining stability there. And of course, step 4, the one we've all been waiting for, is to step into your Dharma. You then, in stage 4, become an agent of help and healing. You become an agent of service, where you now are on the boat, throwing life preservers to those who are asking for help. So the question is, how do I know when I'm at that stage, when it's safe for me to fully step into my Dharma? And now the truth is, you'll step into your Dharma to the exact extent you've stepped into the heart. It's not like there's one moment where it happens. It's a gradual thing, yeah, but as you emerge into your Dharma, you will be emerging into it as you embody heart-based consciousness. And so what I want to focus on today are these kind of 5 points I wrote down that, from my own experience of living in heart-based consciousness, constitute someone who's now living in the heart, who's become the 4th density being and is ready to radically and powerfully step into their Dharma. And so the first one, which should come as no surprise to anyone here, is an intensity of devotion to God, and an abiding communion with the divine internally, a natural awareness of love's presence. That's the first focus point we should have when we're trying to get into the heart, is to develop that bhakti, that fire of devotion, to where your entire attention and focus is caught up in the divine, in love, in God, and you're naturally wanting to commune with God. And so this is, how we cross that bridge of our attachments, our addictions, our distractions, our patterns. All of us in ego consciousness are inundated with addictions, attachments, patterns to the 3rd density way of being that are holding us back from cultivating the fire of devotion. And so it's like, how do I overcome those attachments so that I can cultivate devotion? And the truth is, it happens at the same time. It's not like you say, okay, let me put off devotion for a while. I'll get to devotion later. Right now, I need to work on these dang attachments. You can see the conundrum, right? You cannot pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. You cannot rise above the current level of consciousness you're at unless you first reach for a higher level. So the goal is also the path. The goal of devotion is also the path to get to the goal. So devotion to God is the path and the destination, if that makes sense. So it means don't wait to start practicing devotion until you feel like doing it, until you have no resistance to it. No, practice it right now. If it resonates with you at all, if any part of you says, I want to be a 4th density being, and hello, why else would you be in 4D university if you didn't? So this applies to everyone listening. But if you resonate with this idea that I want to enter my heart and be a being of the heart, a being of love, of unity consciousness, the 4th density being, that's my purpose in this life, then start practicing devotion to God now. What is devotion? We talk about this all the time. Devotion is consecrating everything you do and think and say as an act of worship to God. Devotion is a radical commitment to living in alignment with the eternal. It means I do not want, of my own free will, to step out of alignment with love, to step out of alignment with truth. And so I have these kind of like internal radars in my conscious awareness for anywhere I'm deviating from divine law. And when I notice my state of being constricts at all, when I notice my inner peace is diminished at all, I know I've stepped out of alignment somewhere, and I look for it. I repent, I ask for forgiveness, I ask for love to bring me back into the light. Whatever I need to do to square myself back up with divine truth and divine law, that's devotion. It is devotion to the highest ideal. And so this happens moment by moment in every conversation that you're in every action you commit, in every thought you think. As devotion grows in you, the awareness of stepping out of alignment grows. The sensitivity to being out of alignment grows stronger. You start to notice sooner when you're wandering away from love and your thinking. You start to notice sooner when your ego takes over in conversation. When you maybe cut people off, talk over top of them. When you're not in a giving, receiving state, you notice it sooner. Why? Because you want to notice it. Because you're committed to living from devotion, to living from the heart. Nothing matters more to you than living from the heart. When you get to that stage where nothing matters more, when you've fully faced up to the fact that everything in the world is vanity, nothing in the world of form can fulfill you, it's all water that makes you thirsty. You thirst again and again and again, and you want that everlasting water that you can drink of and never thirst again. You want the water of life, which is love. You begin to search for that water everywhere you can find it. When love at last is all you want, love is all you will see, right? A Course in Miracles. So the intensity of devotion, building devotion, is the first way that you know you're entering the heart. There is no heart-based consciousness without devotion, because the heart is devotion to love. The second quality of being in the heart, and or how you work your way into the heart, because remember, the path and the destination are one. The second quality is humility. And this is just a genuine preferring of others over yourself. Humility is when you're genuinely more interested in blessing other people than, how can I bless myself? How can I find some pleasure for me today? How can I do what I want to do? How can I make myself happy in this moment? Because you find that the best way to make yourself happy is to make others happy. And so humility begins to grow in you because you realize, as I bless others, I bless myself. So I'm always looking to elevate, to serve, to bless, to heal, to help. It's my greatest joy. And so I want to keep my tiny ego out of the way as much as possible. I don't want to let my ego keep getting in the way of my service, my giving my presence and attention to others. You know, you walk with more of that inner stillness, and you're looking out to others to be of help and service rather than looking in of, what do I want right now? What's going to appease me and make me feel happy? When that voice starts to quiet, humility rises in direct proportion. The heart is humble, right? The heart comes to serve and to bless. The heart has no motive of its own. It has no personal agenda. Its only agenda is to help and to serve. I'll give you an interesting experience I had not too long ago of doing these communions with the angels on the Essene path. I believe was it Wednesday? Wednesday evening, I believe, is the communion with the angel of love. And I was deep in this meditation, and I had this really profound experience where the angel of love actually communicated to me in this really interesting way. And I was doing breath work during my communion and doing some long retentions, as I like to do. And I just kind of became aware out of nowhere. I'd sort of known this conceptually, but I experienced it, and it became true gnosis in this moment, which is that on the in-breath retention, and we're going to do a lot of this at the retreat, by the way, on the in-breath retention, you're kind of sending your consciousness up in frequency to the higher realms where you receive downloads, insights, visions, things like that. And then when you finally let go of that breath and you exhale to the bottom, and then you hold that out breath for a long period of time, you kind of plunge into the subconscious in yourself, and you're into you sink into the inner realms of yourself. And that's where a lot of your own baggage may come up, and you'll see distortions, unhealed things that need to be loved and healed. And so I kind of recognized that was happening, and I went to the bottom. And normally when we go into the deep subconscious, we kind of go there with a bit of trepidation. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm in the shadows, so let's be on guard and be ready to meet light with darkness, and like some scary stuff may come up. And so you're kind of like wandering through your subconscious with a bit of that caution. Well, I had such an incredible blast off on this round of breath that when I came back down, I knew I was in my own subconscious, And there was this totally different attitude about it where I was like, what's down here? Let's go on the hunt. Let's find something that needs to be healed and loved. And as soon as I entered that attitude, I embodied it. I didn't know that this was the angel of love until after the experience was over, because when you're in it, you're just in it, right? But a being of light communicated with me, and it was in the form of a black woman. And it wasn't there was no visual of this energy. It was just like a voice and an energy, a presence that I felt. And it felt like a wise African American woman. And I was kind of hunting through my subconscious for shadows. Like, come out wherever you are. I'm gonna love you, And she came and she was like, in the snap of a finger, she communicated to me. She said, normally the ego is the predator and we're the prey, right? The ego's prowling around like a hunting lion, seeking whom it may devour. And it's trying to grab our attention and eat it up and possess it. And she says, but when I'm here, I'm the predator. And the ego is the prey. And she said, I'm a predator of light. I don't come to kill, steal, and destroy. I come to help, heal, and to bless. And then she leaned into me in this very sassy way, and she said, but if it's up to me, everybody's gonna get it. Like, love wants everybody to get some. Like, I'm not gonna stop looking until everybody gets some of my love. That's the attitude of the heart. It's not this like, oh, I'm just here to love. Who wants some love? It's like, I'm on the affirmative, right? I'm on the offense. I'm coming to get you. You better run. You better hide, because I'm coming. Love is coming. That's what humility is like, actually, if you can believe it. Humility is like, I am so interested in being of service that I'm quiet, I'm attentive, I'm present, because if it's up to me, everybody's going to get some of this. You see that? That's a powerful attitude to carry. When you start to embody heart-based consciousness, that becomes your attitude. The third quality of the heart is a natural recognition of the perfection and unity of everything. And this shows up as a total inability to resist the flow of life. So you can pay attention to how much you're resisting life, which means any degree of stress, any degree of anxiety of, oh, tomorrow I got to do this, or oh, I wish this wouldn't happen this way. Those kinds of thoughts represent an absence of heart-based consciousness. Because when you're in the heart, you have no ability to resist the flow of life, because the heart is completely connected and in tune with reality. And so the heart knows everything is perfection. Everything is perfect intelligence demonstrating itself. And so I may not know right now what the purpose of this experience is, but I know for sure it has a purpose, and that purpose is perfect. It cannot be resisted, it cannot be avoided. And so in the heart, we have a natural inability to resist life anymore. That's a hallmark sign of being a fourth density being, is no matter what happens, if a bomb goes off, you don't run into, why is this happening? You just run into service. You just run in to be of help to those who need it. You don't waste any time resisting the flow of life. That's number 3. Number 4 is like it, and could be the same, really, but I like to break them up just for the sake of understanding. The fourth quality of heart-based consciousness is an innate compassion and understanding towards all beings, most especially people, right? The heart has a total inability to judge others for where they currently are. The heart just knows everybody's just where they are, and their actions in time and space are demonstrating where they are. So why argue with it? Why argue with someone's current level of consciousness by judging them and casting blame upon them and things like that? The heart doesn't do that. The heart understands third density is an extremely difficult level of consciousness, and everyone's fighting a difficult battle here. And so the heart just wants to be kind. Yes, even to the murderer, the pedophile, the psychopath, the tyrant, the heart is still compassionate towards them because it understands their pain and their suffering has caused them to become this. And so the only remedy is love. You want to get rid of the murderer? Love them. Forgive them. You want to get rid of the pedophile? Love them. Forgive them. You want to get rid of the evil tyrant? Love them, forgive them. Because if you do anything else, you co-create that distortion with them. Perception is creation, right? We hammer this all the time here. How you perceive somebody is how you create them. You add your mental energy to who they are when you say, oh, that dirty little thief, and da 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 da. You're proclaiming with your I am power. You are evil, you are a thief, you steal from others. I agree with who you believe you are. So if we want to save the world, do you think that's going to be very helpful? So don't expect your average ordinary person to understand this, because they won't. The average third density person, the ego really, sees loving people as a total agreement with their every thought and action, which is totally insane, right? You don't even agree with your own mother and father and child and spouse and brothers and sisters whom you love with all your heart. Even the people closest to you, you don't agree with everything they think or say or do. And yet it doesn't matter because you love them. So it is with everybody. Love everyone unconditionally and look to help them where they need to be helped. If someone's in blindness and ignorance, you'll want to help them in that position. But it doesn't mean you have to hate them before you can try to change them, right? Only love can change anybody, paradoxically, without seeking to change them. Love loves them where they are now, meets them where they are now, and accepts them where they are now. And that's what brings the power of transformation. Because what you resist persists. Yeah, what you fight, you strengthen. So to fight who someone is in any way is not a function of the heart. Heart-based consciousness does not judge anybody where they are. It has total compassion and empathy and understanding that people are suffering deeply, and so they behave in these insane ways. They don't know the light. They don't know truth. They're estranged from love, so of course they do these things. I'll be the love and the light and the truth that they need. And then I can actually get rid of the murderer, the pedophile, the psychopath, and the tyrant. That's the only way to get rid of evil, is by loving it. Because love depolarizes negative energy. The fifth quality of the heart, heart-based consciousness, is a strong desire to be of service to the world. Finding your purpose, finding your dharma in this life, and beginning to expand upon your chosen path of service. The heart, let's say it this way, love is not really love if it's not extending itself. Love is a forward movement. Yeah, love is moving towards everything at all times. Love never shrinks away and resists anything. Love has no fear. There is no fear where love is. And so when you enter love, heart-based consciousness, you only want to be of service. It's your highest joy. You can't think of anything more exciting, more epic, more cutting edge, more fulfilling than blessing others. And so that's another hallmark sign of being in the heart, is a strong desire to be of service, and specifically through finding your soul's dharma. What is that gift I came to express here? Where does the universe want and need to plug me in to the collective? We need people at every single level, from the farmers to the medicine workers to the teachers to the engineers to the technology workers to the spiritual teachers to the musicians to the artists to the innovators to the studiers to the archaeologists to the geologists. We need heart-based consciousness everywhere if we're going to build the new earth. We need to bring higher consciousness to every modality on earth, because that's why our current planet is so corrupted, because we've only been infusing third density consciousness into all these modalities. And so we've got what we get, right? We have a corrupt planet that shows that fact. And so this planet must be healed by you and I, people of the light, fourth density beings, gradually trickling into every single sector of society, one by one, into architecture, into engineering, into computer science, into astronomy, into art, into music. And we're definitely seeing that right now. We're seeing more and more conscious music, hitting the scene and topping the charts. We're seeing more and more conscious movies and films being made. We're seeing, Hollywood starting to put out more enlightened content than ever before. We're gradually emerging into this new earth, but we've got a whole lot of work ahead of us, right? Because the service to self powers on our planet are going to fight tooth and nail to prevent the light from encompassing the planet. And their demise is inevitable. They are gradually getting kicked off the planet generation after generation. But that doesn't mean we should lay down on the job, right? And get slack about it and lazy about it. We should be very proactive in creating the new earth, in creating conscious community where new earths can be created. And so the more of us who enter the heart and become the fourth density being, the more we'll see these communities being created, new technologies, free energy technologies that are going to change the world overnight. These things will start happening before our eyes, faster than any of us expected them to, when we enter the heart and start following our dharma. Your passion will take you there. Your highest excitement will take you there, but you have to say yes to it first, and you have to become a fitting recipient of it. You have to make yourself worthy of your dharma by leaving ego consciousness and entering heart-based consciousness. Because if we know one thing about the ego, is that it is not a good steward of anything of the light. It wants to use everything for itself, right? And so we're going to keep perpetuating this competition-based world if we let our gifts be hijacked by the ego. If we want to enter the world of cooperation versus competition, unity rather than separation, let's put our dharma on hold, so to speak, for a bit and focus all our energy and attention on getting here, moving that nexus point of our consciousness from third to fourth chakra. And then our dharma will find us, our purpose will find us, and we will together walk hand in hand into the new earth, into the light that we co-create once we're in the heart. The heart does all of it, right? So these are the 4 steps of how we do that. First, we have to recognize the problem. All of you have already done that, or you wouldn't be in 40U. We have to ask for help from the universe. All of you have done that already, or you wouldn't be here. So we are at this great nexus point, the 3rd stage of entering the heart, which is finding stability there, learning what the heart is, mastering the qualities of the heart within ourselves and embodying them to such an extent that we naturally can become a true agent of service on the planet, the 4th stage of entering the heart. And we're all at different, places on those 3rd to 4th steps of entering heart-based consciousness. Some of you are already on stage 4. You're embodying heart-based consciousness in a huge way, and your dharma has found you, and you're stepping into that purpose. And thank you for doing the work. On behalf of all of us, I give you great gratitude. But to those of you in the 3rd phase who are still gaining your bearings, trying to learn how to get into the heart, stay in the heart, abide in the heart, live from devotion, live from the heart, I also thank you, because you are already emerging into that 4th stage where you can truly be of service. And anyone who even endeavors to do this, to enter the heart, has already given humanity the greatest act of service that is available, which is your love, your embodiment of the Creator in yourself. The light that you embody is your greatest gift. And again, none of you would be here right now if that wasn't already your heart's desire. So I'll wrap up this lesson by saying, from my heart to yours, as one who's walked this path and continues to walk it, thank you for walking this path beside me. Thank you for choosing heart-based consciousness. But we got work to do, people. We got a whole lot more love to integrate and embody, and that's why we're here in this community. I can't think of any more exciting purpose for being alive than being here with you all at this time in our planet's history right now.